Alright, welcome to my office. I've been in and out of churches and junk like that. I heard a lot of different beliefs. There's so many
To reach as
different
many
beliefs.
people as possible. Because every religion, although usually a mixed bag of some good ideas and some really bad ones, can be used to open people to a higher power and get them to try to look at themselves and improve ethically.
Everybody has it right and everybody else has it wrong. Well, if 10 people have the truth, 9 of them have lied. I mean, that's just a fact. I don't go to church. I study the word at home by myself in the quiet. I went on a journey to find out what was the truth.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth.
What kind of truth do we have out here? When you say truth, what's truth?
Everyone on the side of truth listens to me.
Word for word, verse for verse. I've been through the Bible maybe 2 or 3 times already. It's pretty different than a lot of people and a lot of churches would say was being taught out of this book. Why not start at the beginning? Alright, Genesis chapter 1, verse 1.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth.
This is the beginning. That means before you do anything. It means before anything was created. It means before anything was that we know or see.
You add up the dates given to us in the Bible clearly teaches the earth is only about 4,000 years old before Christ. And now here we are about 2,000 years after Christ. Add those together, and the approximate age of the earth is about 6,000 years old. Exactly right.
The world 6,000 years old. I wasn't there. You wasn't there. Who was there? Who was there to say that the earth is 6,000 years old? This is before everything. When is this? We don't know. Millions of billions. God doesn't have a time frame. We can't put him on a time frame. Okay, so in the beginning, God created. He's the creator. He created what? The heaven, the atmosphere that we see. The earth. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 1. Same phrase that you get in Genesis. In the beginning was the Word of God. That's what we're reading, that's what we're studying. That's what all the fuss is about over all these thousands and thousands of years, and here I am trying to make sense of it all. The Word was with God in the beginning of everything. Before all this, before everything, before anything, dinosaurs, millions of years, whatever you believe in, whatever you think or see or touch or taste or know, and then you read again, the Word was God.
This is the one I was talking about when I said, a man is coming after me, but he is greater than I, because he existed before I was born.
This was written down on the page. John chapter 1, verse 3. All things. How many things? All things. Not just half the things. All things were made by him. God, here in the beginning, God created. Elohim created. Without him was not anything made that was made. Anything you see in the atmosphere, anything you can see with your eyes, and anything on this planet and out of this planet, nothing that has any matter or mass to it could have been created. Colossians 1:16. For by him were all things created. Again, all things. He is the creator, Elohim, God the creator. For by him were all things created that are in heaven. That's the atmosphere, where the stars and everything we see, the sun, the moon, the stars, and that are in the earth, on the earth. Visible with the eye or invisible to the eye. It means this dimension.
Hyper-intensified life running all over the place to create every single life form on this planet. It's bigger than that. Let me put this in perspective for you. Everything from the fish and the plankton and the sea to the air that you breathe in, the oxygen from the trees to the carbon dioxide that you feed them back in return, to the land animals that crawl on the ground, You and I, right now, while you're watching this video on the other side of the screen,
in the dimension that we cannot see.
whether you're talking about something that just appears in the skies, spiritual wickedness in high places, which really does beg the question, where is it when you don't see it? One theory which can no longer be taken very seriously is that UFOs are interstellar spaceships with Sir Arthur C. Clarke, or physically step through into this reality.
All things in that dimension were created by him also. Whether there be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers, all things, he is above it all. He created it all. Without him, none of it would exist. Make sense?
What do you say, Steve?
This is Job 38, verse 7. When the morning stars sang together, the morning stars here are the supernatural angelic beings. They're in another dimension. Okay? Good or bad. So they sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy. Okay, this is not talking about this physical world. This is a world before this physical world. Okay? And when you look at it, it is saying that all the sons of God shouted for joy. So where was Lucifer? Okay, this verse is telling us that this was perfection. This was a perfect atmosphere. This was a perfect creation. This was a perfect everything. Deuteronomy 32, verse 4. He is the rock. His work is perfect before Genesis. Okay, read it for yourself, study it for yourself. That's what it says. Okay? This is a supernatural world and heaven age that was created here in the beginning. Perfect. Might be a little bit of a weird teaching. Might come across as a little bit of something you've never heard before. But that's what's written in here. I'm not trying to start a new religion. I'm not trying to start a new teaching. Evil had not crept into the minds of the angelic beings at this point. And we're reading in Job 38:7. Okay, they all sang together. All the sons of God. Not all except Satan. Not all except Lucifer. He was here. Lucifer was in the mix, singing for joy. Ezekiel 28, verse 14. You can read it. Thou art the anointed cherub. He was the anointed cherub that covereth, and I have set thee so. Covereth. What was he covering? The mercy seat. The seat that God himself sits on. Lucifer at the time had got himself to a point in position that he was actually guarding and covering the mercy seat that God himself sat on. He was one of the greatest of the great. In that supernatural age before he fell is what you're seeing here. Thou was upon the holy mountain of God. This is Lucifer now. We're talking about Lucifer. He was on the holy mountain of God. When is all of this happening? This is happening here in the beginning. When this supernatural, when it was created in perfection, everything was perfect. This is what you're reading here. He has walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire. This being was perfect, one of the greatest in that world age in the beginning of Genesis. We don't have a lot of information about it, but he put it in here enough for us to see that it did exist and it did happen. Because where did Satan fall? You know what I mean? Where was Satan's rebellion? Where did it take place? How did it take place? When did it take place? So Satan was never a human being. He was always an angelic being. So there was a supernatural age before the one we and you are living in right now. Things that we don't understand. This is before things that we know anything about. You know what I mean? His works of old can be millions and billions of years old. You have a God that is infinite. Supernatural beings and entities are not held by time like us. We know nothing about. We don't know what happened. It's all theory. Whether the theory comes from the church or the theory comes from science. None of us was there and none of it was documented except what you're reading right now, what we are reading and studying right now. That's the only documentation of that we have. So everything else would be theory. So I'm not going to go into what happened there, what was they eating, what was they drinking, could they cut a backflip? I mean, come on, we don't know. All we know is that it existed. Something happened because Lucifer, we know, fell. There was a lot in verse 1, I know.
You want my head to explode? In the name of God!
verses from chapter 1, verse 1, and get into them. Dig into them. Read them. Study them. Man, you gotta understand, this world has so many different agendas. This world has so many different people saying that this is true and this is right. And this, what is this all about? You know what I mean? What is this world all about when you look around you? I mean, what is around you that you cannot see, that you do not know? You know what I mean? What do we know about what we see out there? We know nothing. We barely know enough about this own world planet that we live on, this physical world. We still don't know everything about it. You know what I mean? So dig into it, look into it, open it up yourself. Let's talk about things that you don't understand, things that I don't understand. Look, I'm not here saying I know all of this and you don't know enough and I'm trying to teach you. No, I mean, we figuring this junk out together. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to find out what is truth. Truth is an absolute. You know what I mean? There is no wiggle room. I don't want somebody telling me what the truth is. I want to find out what the truth is.